I'm Dave. This is the Cyderbaby pod, and today I'm speaking to another Dave from April 16th. Hello.
Good evening, Dave. You okay?
Oh, I'm surviving, all things considered.
Good man. Good man.
Yeah,
Yeah, me too. I'm not too bad.
yeah, good. April 16th. It's not something I've come across in recent years, so just tell me
Yeah.
a bit of a background of the band.
Well, we formed in sort of South London area, Croydon Way, around end of 84, 85, a long time ago. And we had about 5 or 6 original songs. We resisted the temptation to cover other people's material because it seemed to be the way for most bands when they're starting out to cover other people's material just to get gigs. But we persisted in writing our own material. And before we knew it, we had 7 or 8 decent songs, and we decided to. It was always the aim anyway to do some local gigs, and we did, and we picked up a bit of a local following. The songs carried on coming. It was basically blues-based rock, nothing too, no keyboards or 20, 30-piece drum kits and flashing lights and pyromania, nothing like that. It was, we just played the pubs and the clubs in South London, made some good friends. Like I was saying to you earlier, we made a demo tape which we hossed out to everybody, all and sundry. We got more gigs on the back of it. We ended up going to Cardiff to a place called Bogies, which was our favourite gig of all time. We played there about 5 or 6 times. Fantastic venue. The Welsh are complete nutters.
Yeah.
We also played a couple of gigs for the All England Hells Angels Kent Custom Bike Show. With the likes of Dr. Feelgood and the Groundhogs, the good old Groundhogs. Then we played the Mildenhall Blues Festival. So we were more of a festival band. With the likes of the Hamsters and Diesel. I don't know if you heard of these bands, Engine, Dumpy's Rusty Nuts. We were kind of in there, but I'd like to think that we were heavier and we were quite intense sometimes, but we tried to have a bit of fun when we were playing live. So we stuck around for about 6 or 7 years until in those days you didn't make any money when you were playing some of these gigs. You ended up in debt, having to hire PAs and that type of thing, and we just couldn't afford to carry on. So sadly, the old harvester of sorrow came knocking, and that was it. We sadly called it a day. But one or two of the other guys carried on doing bits and pieces. We all carried on in various guises, doing bits and bobs, but nothing really materialised along the lines of April 16th.
Right. Okay. I had a surprise the other day. I had a chat with Chris. He sent me an email and he said, "Just give me your address and I'll pop a CD in the post." And he surely did. And I don't know if you can pick this up on the.
I've got one too.
You've got one too, have you? Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been listening to that, and it's rather good. It's a real slice of new wave of British heavy metal. Something I've missed quite considerably since my youth. I mean, mid-50s ish. So I'm of that era. And how did this come about then? I mean, this all seems fairly new. I mean, CD even.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, we had some old stuff on demo tapes lying around. We were lucky enough to be spotted. But I mean, Chris must have sent. Like they say, everybody's got a copy of Dark Side of the Moon somewhere in a cupboard or a loft. I think somebody's got a copy of our demo tape that Chris sent out, our Cherry Jam demo. Bless him. He did so much work for us back in the day, as did John, our drummer. Just trying to get gigs. And I mean, we made the album, but it was taken from the demo tapes, and from going from a cassette tape, a demo tape, onto an album via some kind of master. I mean, the technology wasn't really that fantastic back in the day, unless you had tons of cash, which of course we didn't, because we were all working. We all had full-time jobs. I mean, we were all doing our day jobs and coming home of a night time. Probably didn't feel like down to rehearsals, but we still did. You'd come home after a day of working in the rain, you had a gig that night. You didn't feel like it, but you still went and did it, because we were committed to keeping our small group of fans entertained and amused. And so some years later, of course, I mean, bearing in mind what was that, 87? So we were 34 years later, whenever it was last year before that, when Chris and Lawrence, our other guitarist, decided to dig the old master tapes out, and with the wonder of modern technology, have managed to reproduce something which I mean, I wouldn't blow my own trumpet at any time. I'm not up on self-esteem at all or confidence, but I listen to it and think, do you know what? That's not bad. That's okay. So so that's where it came from. It was Chris. We called it Epitaph because it was like a summary of. I mean, there are so many other names buzzing around, like Coda, which Zeppelin used as an end product, as a piece of a piece of music. So we just went with Epitaph. I know Judas Priest have got something similar, but who? No, I love Judas Priest. I think they're fantastic. Yeah, so and that's basically where it was. And so Chris, bless him, has been sending copies of these out to people who he thinks might enjoy it. And one or two people like your good self have picked it up and said, "Well, listen, man, this ain't bad," So it's good to keep that loop going and have the discussion with people like yourself, Dave. And just it's good to generate a little bit of interest. But like I said before, we're not looking to go on a world tour or do anything in the studio or get a reform. We're just grateful that we had the opportunity as a bunch of people to get together and make some music, and we've got some kind of legacy in the form of a little piece of plastic like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's quite a cross section now. I mean, there's 14 tracks, and it ranges from like new wave of British heavy metal, which is pretty hard rocking, and but you've got quite some bluesy stuff on there as well, haven't you?
Yeah, well, the bluesy stuff, which you allude to quite correctly, is a correct observation. I mean, some of the bluesy stuff is what we did when we first got together. I mean, there's a track called "Don't Drink," which the fans used to absolutely love because it features some great guitar work by Lawrence. It's just a bluesy, just a crawl. It was different every time we played it. "She's Mean" was another bluesy one. So it's fairly blues based. All the songs follow a kind of familiar pattern. Every song's got a lead break in it from Lawrence because he was that good.
Yeah.
Jammy Git. But yeah, so we just used to. I mean, when we used to go to the gigs, man, honestly, we just turn up. I mean, I'm going back to like the mid '80s now, so I'm going back. I barely remember. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But we used to just rock up at these places. Cart all the gear in. People would be sitting there having a drink or reading the paper or whatever. We'd set up, do a sound check, and off we go. And some people would leave, and some people would go, "Wow, man, you're fantastic. When are you playing here next?" And that kind of generated into going to, we played the Marquee 3, 4, 5 times altogether, 3 times at the old Marquee in Wardour Street and twice at the new Marquee.
Wow.
We actually headlined the new Marquee one Saturday night in London. Headlining the new Marquee is one of the biggest gigs in the city. I mean, we didn't have thousands of people there, regrettably, but but we kind of polarized opinion. I think a lot of people liked us. Some people thought we were too retro for our own good. There were a lot of gigging kind of pub rock bands, like I said, like Dumpies, the Groundhogs, Engine, Diesel, the Hamsters. We were a ZZ Top sort of Hendrix cloning band. So they were kind of 10 a penny. And at the festivals, again, you get all these bands turn up. But we ploughed on, and I think unfortunately for me, and sadly from my perspective, just before we broke up, we had 3 or 4 really good tunes, I think, that were a step away from our blues-based stuff. They were more like hard rock. And but we never got a chance to record them because we were looking to maybe get a second album deal, but it just never materialized. I mean, we were just hemorrhaging money wherever we played, because it cost so much to hire a PA back in those days. And we didn't have the luxury of having the record company bunging loads of money behind us either. That was just a bit of a one-off, really. But yeah, I mean, I look back with fondness, but there are a lot of crappy times as well. Pardon me.
Yeah, don't worry. I've had much worse on this program, I'll tell you. So Epitaph, the CD, I assume we can, or most people can actually purchase this somewhere.
Yeah, if anybody listening to your fantastic program would like to just go onto Facebook and look for the April 16th Appreciation Society, join us. Send Chris your email address, and he'll send you a copy of the CD. It's as simple as that. Freebies.
No freebies.
Yeah.
I think it's well worth doing. Because I really enjoyed it. Like I said to you earlier, I mean, as soon as it arrived, I put it in my car CD player. That's how old my car is. And it stayed there for a good week, just on constant repeat. It's just mind blowing.
I mean, honestly, though, I take that as a huge compliment. I mean, as you can tell, we're not big-headed ego chasers or nothing. Anybody who says nice thing to us, we go all silly. And but I'm really pleased. I'm really pleased, that you like it. I mean, can I ask you what sort of stuff you normally listen to? Is it quite a broad brush review?
It is a broad brush. I mean, as you can see, I'm a big Dio fan from behind me. Of that era, I grew up listening to Dio and Alice Cooper and Black Sabbath and stuff like that. And of course, I was there when Diamond Head were playing and Demon and bands like that. And Dumpy's Rusty Nuts, I would have loved to have seen those guys play as well.
They were brilliant.
Yeah,
they were brilliant.
I remember on Friday Night Rock Show just listening to a couple of tracks that Tommy Vance used to play every so often, and you think, oh, that's really good. I think I broke the cassette I've recorded that off of, but it harks back to that sort of era as well. And
Well, I mean, you mentioned that. I mean, I'm kind of similar to you. I guess I'm probably about, I don't know, 10, 15, maybe more years older than you. Let's just say I'm getting the pension at the moment. I won't go any further than that. But, I grew up in like listening to, I was lucky. I mean, I grew up in the 60s and 70s, and there was so much great music around, and then Zeppelin and Sabbath came along and just basically changed everything for me anyway. But one of the bands that was around at that time was a band called Budgie. I don't know if you remember Budgie.
Yeah, I do.
We actually supported them one night. It was probably the most proudest night of our lives. We supported Budgie at a pub called the Jolly Boatman in Hampton Court. And to be standing next to Burke Shelley, I mean, he's only a little. I mean, I'm 6'5". He's only a little fella, and a great big bass guitar that he used to play. And we just couldn't believe. We were on a bit of a roll then. It was about '88. We just made the album. We were about to go to France to do a gig in the south of France. So one or two things were starting to happen, but they just never really, went up to the next kind of level really for us. But I suppose maybe that's down to our style. I don't know, but it's all water under the bridge now.
Yeah, that sort of era was very much hair metal was popular with the, like White Snake had just got 87 out, and you got the Poison and the Motley Crue,
Bon Jovi's and all that lot.
all that lot. So even though the music had a strong following, it wasn't perceived as popular by the record companies, I suppose.
Yeah. It wasn't commercial. I mean, we weren't looking to be signed by a record. We were just having a good time. We were just, we'd go to a gig, and if there was sort of 50 people there, we think it was just great. It was just a night out, a few beers, some decent tunes, everybody having a good time. It was, we weren't, we never used to have like massive light shows and, like I say, pyrotechnics and, half naked women dancing in cages or anything like that. We just used to rock up, have a beer, do a sound check, go back and have a few more beers, play some pool, and then come back and do the gig.
Yeah. To be honest, I mean, I see a lot of smaller bands now, grassroots bands and the new wave of classic rock movement. And what you're saying from back then transfers directly to now. There's no money in music. There's costs involved to the smaller bands, just getting to gigs. 10, 20, 50 people turn up to a gig, and you think, great, we'll have a great time. They have a blast, play some cracking music, go home again. Record companies, again, aren't that interested unless they've got so many likes and this, that, and the others. In some ways, nothing has actually changed over the years.
No, I suppose not. I mean, it's always had an element of image about it, which put us one step beyond everybody anyway, because we just used to turn up in our work clothes, to be honest with you. We never had to change a club or anything like that. We never had any special effects at all. So that was, where we were in Croydon, whereabouts are you, Dave?
I'm mid-Devon. I'm in the deepest, darkest southwest.
Oh, nice. Oh, it's lovely. Yeah, we've been from South London. We were around the Croydon area. Which is one of those places you need an armed escort to go with now. But back in the day, it wasn't too bad, and we had a good local following. And what we used to do is a pub we used to drink in. The guys in the band, Chris, John, Eric, and I, and Lawrence, with our partners and a few friends, and we used to hire a coach. So this coach would turn, if we were playing somewhere like Cardiff or one of the festivals we were playing, this coach would turn up. National Express, just when they were getting there, just when they were getting going, pull up in the car park. And everyone would come out 10 o'clock on a Saturday morning, still be draggled from the night before, get on this coach, and we'd head to wherever we were playing. Some of us would would drive the gear down in an old Bedford van type thing. And the bus would, the coach would stop somewhere on the way because it got to lunchtime and everybody was dying for a beer. And, it just turned into a great, like a Jolly Boys, it was just fun times, but everything's got to come to an end. And it sadly started, your tendencies started to, not that we were ever massively popular anyway, I don't mind admitting that, but, people were, all of a sudden they were busy, or, you go to new places and there'd be about sort of 20 people there, and, you can't keep doing that and lose money as well. So I think morale was starting to sink a little bit, and no one really complained too much when it finished. No one said, "Well, hang on, man, what are you talking about? Well, we're just getting going." I mean, everyone kind of knew that we kind of reached the end of our shelf life. So, but yeah, it's nice to look back on it with fondness. And I'll just quickly add to that a quick promo thing. I've actually written a book about the life and times of the band, and it's actually, I couldn't get it published. It's a bit like the band. We couldn't get anyone to pick it up, so I've had to self-publish.
Right.
And it's about 80,000 words. It's called The Ghosts of April, and it's got some good pictures in there of the band at the festivals and stuff, and one or two other bits and bobs. It's just a kind of my remembering of what it used to be like back in the day. It starts off, with me, what sort of music I was into, and how I got turned on to music, the bands I used to go and see, and then joining April 16th, and then the breakup of the band. But yeah, I mean, the festival gigs and the Cardiff gigs are all kind of well documented in there. So
okay,
yeah,
where can we get that then?
well, as soon as it's published, it's actually I've actually paid half of the fee now to the publisher. He's down in Shrewsbury, sort of North Wales area, I think that is.
Yeah.
Shropshire, and he's got we've got an ISBN number. It's all been approved. We've looked at the cover. It's all been proofread and edited. So what they're doing there, I'll be in contact with their design team to look at the layouts of the various, whether we look, it's just basically finalising before we go to print. So
yeah.
I mean, it will be out before Christmas, bearing in mind it's only about 10 weeks away now, 8 weeks away. So
please don't say that.
Yeah. You can give it to people you don't like.
No. Okay. So website again, or the Facebook address is?
Yeah, it's the April 16th APSOC, or Appreciation Society. Just go straight onto Facebook and punch in April 16th Appreciation Society. Ask to join, and either Chris or John or I will obviously click the link, and you can have a look at all the old photographs and all the reviews and some of the mad stuff, and pass comment on, if anybody went to a gig and remember certain things. And like I say, you can also get a copy of the CD, which Chris will send, bless him, and I'll hope to do the same with the book. So a couple of freebies in there for people who are interested.
Brilliant. Thank you for your time, Dave.
No worries, mate.
Hope the book goes well, and thank you very much for the CD.
Yeah, well, if we ever do anything, mate, I'll be first to give you a shout, and we'll send some material your way, but I can't promise anything. Okay, it's great speaking to you, buddy.
No worries. Thank you.
Cheers, mate. Bye-bye.